All right. Hello. Hello, and welcome to the Cloud English Podcast. My name is Luke, and it is September 20th, 1256. It's great to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about stories. We're going to be working on some phrasal verbs. We're going to be playing around with an interactive story GPT that I'm working on. I want to show it to you. I think it's pretty cool. I'm still working on some improvements, so we'll check that out. I also have a clip from a TV show, and we're going to be learning some words and phrases from that. And let's see what else. We might do one or two more things. I've got a question that we might work on, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, welcome. If you haven't already done so, I would sincerely appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe. You can also, if you'd like to get a free course, get that in the links in the description. You can also join the Discord server, which is free if you want to reach out to me. I'm often online there. And let's see, what else? 1 year membership, paid monthly. The monthly price is the same as the yearly membership. That's 30% off the total. So you can check that out as well. The 90-day program is coming soon, and I also will be releasing a new course on TOEFL, which I think is going to be a pretty good one. So I'm excited for that. So that's basically it. I think that's the main stuff. It's great to have you here, and I look forward to any questions from those watching live. If you have them, again, I hope you're having a fantastic Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'm still putting together my weekend plans. Nothing too specific yet, although in autumn, the thing to do is pick apples. So that's been pretty much every weekend, picking apples, picking grapes, going to a local farm, picking some pumpkins, some fresh sweet corn. The thing around here is that there are tons of farms, and they let people go and pick stuff, and it's a good experience, and my son loves to do it, so we do it. Now, you would think, right, since you're actually doing the labor, let's say you want to get corn, you would think that the corn would be cheaper because all they're doing is growing it. No one's picking it and bringing it to a supermarket, right? So you'd think, oh, it should be cheaper. It's actually not. It's actually more expensive to pick it yourself than to go to a supermarket. So I think an ear of corn at the farm is like $1.25, $1.25, something like that. But then if you go to the supermarket, it's like organic, under $1, I think, per ear of corn. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but a lot of food stuff is, surprising, where some things are expensive and some things are cheap, and there are, mysterious reasons, perhaps insidious, nefarious reasons to explain. I know there's a lot of stuff that goes into the cheapness of bananas, for example, that is somewhat, I don't want to say nefarious. That might not be the right word, although maybe it is the right word. Let's just do this really quickly because I'm curious. Because at least in the United States, bananas are basically free. It's crazy how many bananas you can buy, organic bananas you can buy for a tiny amount of money. So let's see here. I'm gonna use Perplexity. Let's just let's explore this. Oh, I need to adjust the size a little bit. Give me a second. Size adjustment. There we go. That's better. Okay. Why are bananas so cheap in the United States? I don't know if they're cheap everywhere, or maybe they are. I don't know. That's what I want to know. Several factors contribute to the low price of bananas in the United States, making them one of the most affordable fruits available. Labor cost and production. Bananas are primarily grown in countries like Ecuador, Guatemala, and Costa Rica, where labor costs are significantly lower than the U.S. Despite low wages for agricultural workers in the U.S., those in banana exporting countries earn even less. This disparity allows producers to keep prices low while maintaining profitability. The banana plant is also highly productive. It can yield up to 240 bananas per plant. And its cultivation is relatively easy, requiring less intensive labor compared to other fruits like berries. Yeah, berries are very expensive. Bananas are harvested before they ripen, which makes them easier to transport over long distances without spoilage. Bananas are often used as loss leaders by retailers, priced lower than their production cost to attract customers into stores. I see. Get people in with bananas. This strategy is effective because bananas are one of the first items shoppers see upon entering a supermarket. The average price of bananas in the U.S. is around 62 to 63 cents per pound, which is significantly lower than many other fruits like apples and oranges. Yeah, 62 cents per pound. How many pounds how many bananas are in a pound? I couldn't tell you. Historically, bananas were once considered a luxury item in the U.S. However, with the establishment of large-scale banana plantations by companies like United Fruit Company, now Chiquita, bananas became widely available and their prices were driven down through economies of scale and aggressive market strategies. The term Banana Republic originated from this era, highlighting the socioeconomic impacts of banana production on Central American countries. There you go. So it's not a simple story. It's not a simple story. It's a little bit more complex. Anyway, all right, so I want to get into this. I'm working on this as an experience, and you know what? Let me, because I realize it's actually not in the chat. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in the chat on, well, I guess I can only paste it in the chat on YouTube. So let me do that really quickly. If you want to check this out, I'm working on okay, one second. There we go. So I'm working on this GPT, and this GPT is a story, an adventure story GPT. And I'm still working on it. So I would encourage you to check it out, play with it, and let me know if you have any feedback, because as I said, I'm working to improve it. I've been working on and making a lot of GPTs recently because I think it's fun. So here's what we want to do. We want to play a story. We want to play a game. I don't know if you've ever done Dungeons and Dragons. So Dungeons and Dragons, or D&D, is a classic role-playing game, RPG, that is basically the foundation of all role-playing games, or almost all role-playing games. So the way that most video games that allow you to make choices and customize stuff and develop your character over time, the way that those play out is often based on the RPG system, or let's say playing style mechanics that Dungeons and Dragons kind of made popular, let's say. I don't know if they were the very first, but it's kind of a tabletop game where it's an oral storytelling game. Now, I don't have all of the mechanics baked into this GPT, but I want to try to make it something that's very conversational, that you can interact with. So the idea is to make it highly interactive, and to force you to use a lot of language as part of the experience. Now, one thing I would like to add would be some real mechanics, like a dice rolling mechanic, right? And actual level trees to make it really complex. I'm trying to figure out what the limitations of a GPT are. I don't think it could get too complicated, but let's try this out. So, is this an app? Miriam says. So this is, Miriam, this is a GPT. GPT is just, a GPT is like a little mini app inside of ChatGPT that you can build them. And I've talked about them in previous episodes. I have a few, one for practicing pronunciation, and yeah, they're pretty fun to use. I recommend building them yourself as a way to kind of have your most commonly used prompts, right? The prompts you use most often, kind of on the shelf and easy to access, so you don't have to always copy and paste. All right, so we're just going to go begin story. Here we go. Now, the idea here is that I've got to use a lot of language. I've got to practice my English. I have to use different skills. That's part of the experience. Okay. I could read this out, I guess. We won't do this for everything, but we'll do
Welcome,
it for this.
traveler. You're about to step into a world of adventure where your words carry power and your choices shape the path ahead. Before we begin, I need to know your name. Also, what kind of story are you in the mood for today? Here are your choices: fantasy, dragons, magic, and epic quests; science fiction, futuristic worlds and strange technologies; historical period, step into a past era full of intrigue;
fiction,
mystery, unravel secrets and solve puzzles; modern day adventure, something grounded in the present with twists; post-apocalyptic, survive in a broken world; cyberpunk, high-tech, low-life, gritty cities of the future. What shall it be?
So these are just different story genres, right? Okay, let's go with my name. The character's name is Alto, and we're gonna play a science fiction story. Nice to meet you, Alto. You've chosen science fiction, a journey to the stars, where futuristic cities gleam with neon lights and strange worlds await exploration. You find yourself aboard the starship Solstice, an aging freighter sailing through the farthest reaches of known space. The year is 2472. Hey, I've been there. Earth is a distant memory, and humanity has spread across the galaxy, surviving by trading with alien species, salvaging old technology, and occasionally dodging corrupt intergalactic corporations. Opening scene. You're sitting in the cockpit of the oh, did I say Solace? Wait a second. Solstice, excuse me. Solstice. Apologies, did I say Solace before? Your ship's AI, a sarcastic program called Echo, suddenly chimes in, Captain Alto. Sensors are picking up a distress signal from a nearby asteroid field. It's encrypted. But I've never seen a code like this. What do you want to do, investigate or keep cruising? After all, there's always cargo to deliver. The stars glimmer in the distance. A decision hangs in the air. What will you do? Investigate the signal or ignore it and keep on your original course? Of course, we have to investigate. This is the call to adventure. Let's, okay. How much time do we have? Are we on a tight schedule? I'm talking to my ship AI. Schedule with this delivery. Also, is lunch ready yet? I'm going to actually speak from now on. Echo pauses, then responds in a dry, slightly annoyed tone. Technically, we're not on a super tight schedule. The delivery isn't due for another 48 hours. But you know how those corporate types are. They'll complain if we're early, and they'll definitely complain if we're late. So we've got a little room to investigate, if that's what you're asking. As for lunch, the smell of something questionable wafts through the cabin vents. Oh, right, Echo adds. The food printer malfunctioned again. You've got two choices. Some flavorless protein paste, or I could try recalibrating it to make a pseudo sandwich. I give it a 60% chance of that it'll actually taste like food. All right. Okay, so I'm going to say, whip me up one of those pseudo sandwiches and let's check out this distress call. While we're on the way, please message the corporate people we're supposed to meet and let them know we might be an hour or two behind schedule. Pseudo sandwich it is, replies Echo. Oh, no, I don't want to. I forgot to turn off my thing. Let's listen. Too bad we can't do voices. Once the new voice mode is available, then this will be
Pseudo
much more
sandwich
fun.
it is, Echo replies, a bit too
Because you
cheerfully.
can request
The
specific
food printer
voices,
hums to
which is
life,
cool.
sputtering and whirring before something vaguely resembling a sandwich appears in the tray. It's something. Bon appetit, Captain, Echo says. While you take a bite of the sandwich, surprisingly decent if you ignore the odd aftertaste, Echo sends out a quick message to your corporate contact, letting them know you might be a bit delayed. They'll survive without us for a few hours, Echo mutters. Now on to more exciting things. The ship changes course, gliding toward the asteroid field. The signal grows stronger as the solstice weaves between the massive rocks. Echo's voice turns serious for a moment. We're close. The signal is coming from a small craft. Looks like it's barely functional. Life signs. Faint but present. Your ship slows to a halt near the damaged craft, a small silver vessel, scorched and covered in asteroid dust. Its lights flicker weakly.
Wait, what happened? Its lights flicker weakly. Where were we? Oh, okay. I accidentally cut it off. Okay. So do I want to board the craft and investigate, or try to communicate with them first? What would they do in Star Trek? Okay. First... Oh, I forgot I'm talking. All right, first, what can we scan for? I want to do every possible scan that we can do so we have a pretty good idea of what's on the ship, see if we can determine if there are any life signs or determine anything that could be dangerous. What can we determine from all possible scans that we can do? All right, what can we determine? We're not going to play this whole story. I'm just kind of showing how it works a little bit. Good call, Captain. Let's run the full spectrum of scans before we go anywhere near that thing, Echo says, as the ship's scanners begin to hum to life. Here's what we can scan for: life signs, atmospheric conditions, structural integrity, energy readings, radiation levels, weapon signatures, unknown materials. Starting scans now, Echo says, as the ship's sensors sweep over the damaged craft. After a few moments, Echo reports back. Life signs. One faint life sign, possibly unconscious or critically injured. Atmosphere, the air inside the ship is thin but still breathable. However, oxygen levels are rapidly dropping, maybe an hour or so left. Structural integrity, the ship is heavily damaged, but holding together. Boarding should be possible. Energy readings, the power systems are failing, but no active weapons or traps are detected. There's a weak energy signal coming from a small core. Normal, no dangerous radiation levels. Weapon signatures, no active weapons detected. Unknown materials, nothing out of the ordinary, though the ship appears to be of a type not commonly used in this sector. Seems like something inside needs help. And fast. Air's running out. but no immediate threats are popping up on our scanners. What's the move, Captain? Let's see. What should we do in this situation? So we've got possibly a person who could die if they run out of air on this ship. If I'm a bad person, maybe I wait an hour and then take everything from their ship. That could be valuable. That could be fun. But that's the evil thing to do. Let's see. Oh, I guess I am delaying. I should probably get busy. Let's see. Okay. All right, I know what I want to do. Let's do this. I'm going to put on my spacesuit, and I'm going to bring a spare suit with me. Make sure both have topped up oxygen supplies. And then make sure that you remain connected, or the ship remains connected to their ship, so that I can make a quick exit if I need to. Also, can you make sure that we have the correct medical kit in case I need to perform life-saving aid? All right, we're going to stop right after this. I want to see who's on this ship. I'm quite curious, actually. Got it, Captain. Prepping everything now, Echo replies, sounding a bit more serious as the gravity of the situation sinks in. The ship's systems hum as the following preparations are made. Spacesuits. Connection to the ship. Echo confirms the Solstice is securely tethered to the damaged craft. The airlock is prepped and ready for quick entry and emergency exit. Medical kit. A portable medical med kit is placed by the airlock, fully stocked with the essentials: oxygen injectors, wound sealants, an auto suture device. That would be to something like stitches. And even a portable defibrillator. Ooh, I don't know if I know how to use that. I'm not certified. Everything you need for life-saving aid, just in case, Echo says. I'll keep monitoring your vitals and the ship's systems remotely. Okay? With everything ready, you step into your spacesuit, the helmet sealing with a quiet hiss as the internal HUD flickers to life. That's sort of your view screen of the environment. You grab a spare suit and secure it to your side. The med kit is slung over your shoulder. Life signs are still faint, but holding steady for now. Oxygen levels in the craft are dropping. Be careful in there. All right. What's your next move? Okay. Quickly walk into the ship using my portable scanner and look for the source of the faint life sign. I keep forgetting to speak instead of type. While I move into the ship, I hum quietly to myself to appear relaxed and casual and not nervous, but at the same time I'm constantly looking back and forth to see if this could possibly be a trap set by someone to maybe capture my ship or take me prisoner. All right. You step lightly across the damaged hull, your boots making soft contact with the surface. As you hum quietly to yourself, your body remains tense, eyes constantly scanning the shadows and corners for anything suspicious. It's a delicate balance, appearing relaxed but ready for trouble. The faint light from the distant stars barely illuminates the path ahead, and the soft glow of your portable scanner adds an eerie aura. The hatch of the damaged craft opens easily. A bit too easily, perhaps. I'm thinking something bad might happen. The interior is dim, flickering lights casting long shadows across narrow corridors. The ship seems deserted, except for the persistent ping of the life sign ahead. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead here. Finally, the scanner beeps softly, indicating that you're close. You reach what looks like the ship's small med bay. The door barely functional as it slides open. Inside, a figure lies slumped in a medical chair. The suit is torn, and their breathing is shallow. They're human, or at least mostly human, though they appear augmented by some cybernetic enhancements. Their helmet is cracked and they seem unconscious, barely hanging on. Their oxygen supply is almost gone, just as Echo had warned. There's no sign of anyone else, no immediate threats, but the damaged state of the ship, the missing crew, and the oddly convenient distress signal still make you wary. What's your next move? This is going to be the last thing that I do. Okay, let's see. So I could help this person, but I got to think to myself, why would I help this person? What is the motivation for me to help this person? You know? Okay, so let's do this. I grab a glass of cold water from a nearby shelf and splash it in their face with my other hand on my laser gun, ready for anything. I have the extra space suit ready to go, but first I have a few questions that I want to ask this person, so I'm trying to wake them up. I think that's the right thing to do. Scanning the room, you ensure no one else is hiding in the shadows. As you reach the unconscious figure, you notice a half-filled glass of cold water on the shelf nearby. Yes, I know. The cold water shocks the figure awake. They jerk in the chair, sputtering and blinking rapidly, their eyes wide with confusion and alarm. Maybe not the nicest thing to do. Your hand tightens on the grip of your laser gun, ready for any sudden movement, while the spare space suit rests nearby, prepared for a quick evacuation if necessary. Well, oh yeah, right. For them, right, yeah. The person coughs, gasping for breath, their cybernetic eyes focusing on you as they struggle to orient themselves. Where am I? They rasp, their voice hoarse. They seem disoriented but alive. You lower the glass, keeping your tone calm but firm. You're aboard a ship, or what's left of it. I'm Captain... Okay, hold on a second. All right, I'm going to stop here because this is where I realize I need to make some updates. It should, and says in the instructions, under no circumstances speak for me. That's the whole point, is that this is a back and forth thing where I'm speaking, and now it's giving me dialogue, and it's saying things for me, so I have to make some updates. So keep an eye on it. If you want to play with it, play around with it. Feedback is welcome, but that is my cue that's enough. That's enough. Well, nice try. Nice try. Nice try. So the goal with it, the goal with it is to kind of have a gamified experience where you're still using language. I feel going through it, it's an interesting story, but it needs to be I think it needs to be way less descriptive and more interactive. So at this point, it's basically doing a lot of, and then this happened, and it looked like this, and it sounded like this, and there was a creek over there, and you did this. I want less of that, and I want more back and forth conversation, right? And I never want it to say what I want to say, because that's the whole point of it. So as I work on it, I think it'll get more interesting. But eventually it should be like this, where you're in a situation, you're being challenged to do something, right? You have to maybe complete, you have to describe something, you have to give somebody clear instructions, you have to tell a story because you're at gunpoint, you have to, do things like that, sort of these little challenges, but make it in a coherent, gamified environment. That is kind of the goal. But I can see that I have a little bit of work to do to make it more seamless. Also, I think, what are the limits of just a GPT, to make it stick to the instructions can be a bit challenging, right? It's often better for GPTs to be a little bit more, I don't know, concise in their instructions, limited in their instructions. Anyway, I'll play with that more over the weekend. All right, let's get into, and I see some people are joining live. Hello, Miriam and Juan and Hend and George and Oscar. Hello, welcome. If you are just joining, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe. Today we're talking about stories, but I do want to get into a clip. We're gonna watch a video clip and learn some words and phrases. So let's do that. I'm gonna hop over here to this. We're gonna watch a scene from the movie The Devil Wears Prada and learn some words and phrases from it. All right, let's do it.
Where are the belts for this? Where are the belts for this?
The belts? If you don't, just so you know, this is a movie about an assistant who's not really, she's young, played by Anne Hathaway. She becomes an assistant for a very important person, I believe an editor of a fashion magazine, played by what's her face? What? Wait, I'm blanking on her name right now. What is her name? I'm blanking on her name. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name. Has that ever happened to you? Where you completely blank on someone's name? Who stars in Devil Wears Prada? Okay, Meryl Streep. Duh. What's wrong with me? Meryl Streep.
Why is no one ready?
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
It's a tough call. They're so different. Okay, so let's listen carefully to that.
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
Okay. So, a tough call. A tough call is when you have a decision to make, and it's not an easy decision to make. Right? A tough call. That's a tough call. It could be about something ordinary, or it could be about something very important and dramatic, right? It might be a tough call about who to lay off, right? If you're the CEO of a company, you have to lay off 20 people. Who's it going to be? Whew, that's a tough call. Or it could be, what flavor of ice cream do I want to order? Oh, that's a tough call, right? So call here is basically like decision, and tough is like difficult. That's it. A tough call is a difficult decision. We often use it in the past to talk about something that's already decided, and we say something like, that was a tough call. That was a tough call. Okay? So listen for that context again.
Ready.
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
Okay, and she goes, that's called snickering, I guess. A snicker is when you kind of laugh in a quiet way when you think something is funny. And just for context, this Anne Hathaway character, I think she's not really a fashion person, so she thinks the belts look the same. Okay.
Something funny? Something funny?
Something funny? Something funny? Okay, now this is an interesting one because it's obvious what it means, right? You laughed, and I'm asking you if something's funny. But I think for this one, the connotation is more important. than just what it means. Yeah, it does just mean, is something funny? But in this, it's often used in this kind of situation where one person is taking it seriously and it seems like the other is not. They snicker under their breath. They maybe have a facial expression that looks like they're not serious, right? They react to something. And it could be that they're not taking it seriously. It could be that I don't know why they laughed. It could be that they're not taking it seriously or something else. But I want to know because are you mocking me? Are you judging me? Are you what's going on? So maybe I'm potentially offended, right? Especially if it's something I'm very serious about. If I'm talking about something that's really important to me that I think is very important, and then someone goes, and I go, something funny? Now, there is an accusation there, the fact that this Meryl Streep's character is an important fashion person. She's a high-level position. This could be looked at as, I don't know, rude, but really like, tell me why you're laughing now, basically, right? I have the power to make you answer that question. Something funny? Whereas a subordinate, Anne Hathaway in this case, probably wouldn't say that to her boss. If she said something and her boss went, right, she probably wouldn't say something funny, right? Because that's seen as, it's like pointing your finger at them and saying, what? You laughing at me? What? It's kind of like that. So more appropriate for a boss maybe to ask. But still, she's famous for being kind of rude, this character. Right? All right, let's keep going.
No, nothing's, it's just both those belts look exactly the same to me. I'm still learning about this stuff and...
Both those belts look exactly the same to me. I'm just learning about this stuff. This stuff being stuff in the fashion world, things like that.
This stuff? Oh.
Stanley Tucci's ability to do a look of disgust is amazing. He's so good at it. Look at his face.
Oh.
He can't believe she's saying this, how dumb she is.
Okay, I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You
think this has nothing to do with you. If something has nothing to do with you, then it's not related to you in any way. So Anne Hathaway is kind of laughing to herself because these people, I'm trying to learn how to be in the fashion world, but they think these two belts that look exactly the same, they think that they're so different. That's funny to me, right? I can't believe that they think that they're so different. And then her boss is now basically saying, Miranda, I believe is her name, Miranda is now going to explain that actually this is all connected together, right? The fashion world. This is, you basically what you're saying is this is not important. Us high fashion people making these decisions, deciding between two belts doesn't matter. You somehow, Anne Hathaway, Andrea Sachs, you think you're too important, you think you're too above it to care about fashion. But I'm going to explain how that's actually wrong. So nothing to do with me, it's got nothing to do with me, is when someone accuses me of being involved in something. Maybe they think I did something, and I say it has nothing to do with me. Now, maybe that's true. Or maybe, like this situation, maybe it's not true. Maybe I think it has nothing to do with me, but actually I'm affected by it in a way that I didn't realize before, which we will see here.
Go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back, but what
you take yourself too seriously to care what you put on your back. You take yourself too seriously to care what you put on your back. So I think she's saying there, the clothes you choose are a statement, even if the statement is, I don't care what I wear. So if you dress in a way that shows that you don't care what you wear, that's also a statement of fashion and says something about you, which is interesting. I think that's true.
For instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back, but what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean.
Cerulean? I've heard that word, but I haven't heard of that as a color. That must be a very uncommon color. Cerulean. Just curious what that... Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that is a color. Cerulean. Cerulean. Cerulean blue. Let's see if I can bring that on screen. Just for funsies. Okay. There it is. Does it match? Does it match? Oh, it doesn't. Maybe it's the light. Maybe it's the light. Maybe I have the wrong color. Sorry, I don't mean to judge you. I don't mean to judge you. Miranda.
Trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back, but what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact.
Blithely unaware of the fact. You often hear people say, the fact. It is the thing that I'm talking about, that I'm going to educate you on right now. Right? The fact that you don't know this means, right? Or are you unaware of the fact that I've actually been helping with X, Y, and Z without telling you, and you didn't even know? Are you unaware of that fact? So this is a way for me to focus on a thing that's true, okay? Now, what does it mean to be blithely unaware? Unaware, you know. It means you don't know. You're not aware. But to be blithely unaware is sort of like almost celebrating your ignorance, right? To be blithely ignorant of something is to sort of just say, well, I don't know, that's fine. Almost a confidence about your ignorance. That's the meaning it kind of adds to it. Completely oblivious, completely unaware, and not unaware because, oh, I actually would like to be aware, but there's almost an arrogance in my unawareness, right? There's an almost intentional effort to be unaware and just walk around not paying attention to the world. That's what that means, basically.
In 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns, and then I think
In 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns, is what she said. Very fast, so I just wanted to say.
it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here.
Who showed cerulean military jackets. So she's saying the major fashion designers were in 2002 using this color cerulean.
And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers.
And then cerulean shot up in the collections of 8 different designers. What does that mean? To shoot up? Is it a reference to drugs or something? No. What shoots up? Well, let's say a rocket. And when a rocket shoots up, it goes up, right? What else goes up? Numbers, graphs, quantities, right? Revenue. So we talk about things like that as shooting up too, like a rocket. If something goes up suddenly, anything like that, money, popularity, downloads, anything like that, we can say it shot up, but that suggests it's rapid, like a rocket. So you could say, after that advertisement, our app downloads shot up overnight. You can say, after they did that initial design of that jacket, that military jacket, the use of this color shot up. It suddenly increased in popularity or in usage. right? Now, it doesn't have to be only things that increase in a good way. It could be a bad way too. You could say, after the police, maybe the size of the police force was reduced, crime shot up by 30%, right? So it really is just suggesting a sudden increase or a sudden spike. What's the difference between shoot up and went up? I think it's really just that shoot up is more dramatic. It evokes the sense of the rocket going like that.
And then it filtered down through the department store.
So let's go back.
In the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers.
Cerulean shot up in the collections of 8 different designers.
And then it filtered down through the department store.
And then it filtered down through the department stores. So think of sort of a water filter, starting at the top, high fashion, and then going down like through a water filter. And then she's going to use another word here, which you need to listen to, which is similar.
And then trickled on down into some tragic...
Trickled on down. Now I'm just going to write trickled down here. Trickled on down into some tragic...
the department stores, and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some...
Trickled down into some casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some...
clearance bin. However, that...
clearance bin. So she's kind of describing the shape that fashion takes in the world. It starts at high fashion. They start doing a color or something. And then other designers are influenced by that, the model, right? And then department stores are influenced by that. They might start using that color more in some of the clothes that they have. And then that goes even further down to somewhere else, right? To cheaper clothes that end up in a clearance bin, and that's a bin where all the clothes are discounted. Basically, last chance before we throw this stuff away is the clearance bin, the cheapest possible clothes you can get in a department store or in a big store. And she's using this sort of concept of filtering and trickling, which is, I think, a good one. So to filter down is it gets, as it goes, maybe the quality of the idea dilutes less and less. So maybe high fashion is the purest version of this idea or something. And as it filters down, maybe it gets spread out and there's more of it, but that doesn't necessarily make it better. And then from there, trickling is sort of water slowly moving down or out of something. It's trickling out of the pipe. The water is trickling out of the pipe. Well, even though it's just a small trickle out of the pipe, over time, it's thousands of gallons. For a year, even though it's a slow trickle, thousands and thousands of liters of water are maybe wasted because of that trickle. And so basically saying, at this point, this idea of using cerulean blue in high fashion has trickled so far down that it's just trash now. But that's why it's there, because the idea started at the top and got diluted so that now, yeah, there it is in the clearance bin, but it's not, it's just an ugly sweater, basically, is what she's saying. But it's influenced from the top still.
Blue represents millions of dollars and countless out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts...
It's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice.
And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact...
How you've made a choice that exempts you. So to exempt, and my apologies for this, but I think there was an auto spell correction that happened. To exempt, let me fix this. I'm fixing this. There's an auto spelling issue. To exempt you means to mean that you don't have to partake in something, right? If you're exempted from an exam, you don't have to take it for whatever reason. I'm exempt, right? Often it's an obligation or a duty or something that applies to you. You could say that, for example, religious institutions in the United States are exempt from paying taxes. That's nice. That means they don't have to do that. Usually, again, it's an obligation. It's something that you don't particularly want. Well, Anne Hathaway's character, Andrea Sachs, thinks maybe, or at least Miranda Priestley is assuming that Anne Hathaway's character thinks that she's exempt from the fashion industry. She doesn't care about fashion. She's too intellectual. Her statement to the world is, I don't care. I buy cheap clothes. I don't really care what I look like because I'm an academic or I'm this type of person, not a fashion industry type of person. And Miranda has gone through all of this to explain, actually, you can't escape it because the reason you chose that cheap thing is because of a decision that was made in 2002, right, to use cerulean blue, basically. So she's not exempt from the fashion industry at all. She's not exempt. Let's go back.
How you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when, in fact, you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room.
You're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room. That's a pretty powerful statement. Pretty cool. I like it. Makes me want to watch this movie again because it's a pretty old movie at this point. I haven't watched it in a long time. 2006. 2006. Okay.
This room from a pile of stuff.
Yes. Very good. She's a very satisfying character. She's very smart, but she's also very kind of aloof, pompous, but kind of deserves to be because she's so knowledgeable, right, and powerful in her industry. It's pretty interesting. Okay. Anyway, any questions on that? If you guys haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, grab a free course in the links in the description, and you can get 30% off the yearly membership in the links in the description. Yes. All right, let me see if I have any questions to answer. Juwan says, thank you for reviewing SpeakPal. Yeah, sure. Juwan, are you affiliated with SpeakPal in any way? Is that why you wanted me to review it or not? If you are affiliated, I hope you can pass my feedback to them. I saw your comment on the video that you can start another call. So if you haven't checked it out, I have a video on an app called SpeakPal that's basically a language exchange app that allows you to have live calls, randomly often matched with somebody to practice English. And I had some good things, some negative things, some positive things to say. And one of my points was, well, it's hard to get much done in a 10-minute call. And Joanna, who had mentioned this to me first and brought the topic up, had said, yes, but you can just hop on another call with them right after. And again, that's free, and I think that's okay. That's fair. But it does disrupt the flow, and there are some things going on psychologically about, do you want to continue talking with me? And if you don't, and we've had a good conversation, then that could be uncomfortable. There's some stuff that can happen that makes me not really love the just start another 10-minute call. But again, it is a free app. It's called SpeakPal, so feel free to check it out. I think Juan might be the CEO. It has helped me a lot with learning new words in context. This is for a different one called Atlas English. I'm getting all the tips from Juan here. Let me search Atlas English. Atlas Vocabulary? Let's see. It's an app. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's a vocabulary app that has words, save words that you learn, practice the words that you learn, surreptitious, vitriolic, abet, sanguine, learn with Tutor AI by ChatGPT. Okay. Test your vocabulary level. All right, so it seems like a fairly simple vocabulary app. Maybe worth checking out. What is this connection to Tutor AI? Or is it Tutor AI? Okay, Anyway, could we have another clip in this session? If you want to recommend clips in the future, happy to do multiple ones. I do like doing the movie clips because there's so much good language to learn from movie clips, but I don't have one ready to go. So if you have recommendations for clips from specific movies that you would like to watch or learn from that I could talk through, then just let me know. I'm happy to take suggestions there. I only have one available, and I have to download them manually to play them in a way that's easy to watch. And also the words and phrases that pop up there above the video, I add manually in advance, right? I'm not adding them in the moment. Okay. All right. I do want to go through some phrasal verbs as well. Juan says, no, I swear I'm just a student studying English literature. Okay, Juan, right. I think, Juan, maybe you've got some pretty sweet referral links and you're working on referrals. No, that's a joke. I'm just joking. Inside Out 2. I haven't seen that one yet. Is that a good one, Reza? Inside Out 2? I really enjoyed Inside Out 1. The first Inside Out was fantastic. Let's see. Can we open a clip? Can we do that? Inside Out 2 scene. Let's see if I can find a scene. Inside Out 2 scene. I just wanted others to know so that they can benefit from them too. Yeah, I mean, of course. Keep the suggestions coming. Absolutely. Don't stop, Juan. Don't stop. Great suggestions. I will check out. What is it called again? I've closed the link. I'm going to save that in my browser and I'm going to check it out later. It is called Atlas English. Atlas English. And then another one called Red Kiwi. Is that one different? Red Kiwi. What is Red Kiwi? Okay. I don't see anything for Red Kiwi, though, unfortunately. Red Kiwi is of actual fruit. I didn't know that there were red kiwi. I love kiwi, but I thought that kiwi were green and yellow. But I see that there are indeed red kiwi, and they look delicious. Wow. They look very delicious. You've watched it in View Cinema. It was great, but not as good as the first one. Yeah, the first Inside Out is really good. I mean, they did an amazing job exploring the ideas of the unconscious, right? The unconscious mind. There was a lot of Jungian stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect to be in an animated kids movie that was actually quite subtle. And the way that they did it, I thought was really great. So I am looking forward to it. I haven't really been up to date on a lot of movies. I didn't even see the new Wolverine and Deadpool movie, which I've heard was good. And then another one, Natural Reader. So let me check that one out too. Red Kiwi failed, unfortunately. I wasn't able to come up with anything there. Natural Reader. Okay. Authentic AI Voice, Artlist.io, Natural Reader from 11 Labs, Natural Reader AI Voices. Oh, well then why, if you use Natural Reader, it seems to be an AI voice generated tool. Let's see here. Alex.
Welcome to One Fish, Two Fish, the podcast that aims to make you laugh as you learn about the fascinating world of marine biology. From the depths of the deep blue to the shores of our coastlines, we'll explore the wonders of the underwater world.
I don't know why you wouldn't just use 11 Labs then, because 11 Labs has thousands of voices. They're very good. And you can do reading. If you give it a PDF, you can listen to the PDF very naturally, and you can do voice cloning. So it looks like it's similar to 11 Labs, except it's not 11 Labs. I'll check it out, but I have to admit I am a big fan of 11 Labs. I love the variety and the diversity of voices available, the different types of voices. They have kids' voices, adult voices, cartoon voices. It's really flexible and very cool. And there's even a voice clone of me. So I'll check out, let me check out 11 Labs here. Okay, and let's go to, so you can check out these voices.
Life without love is like a tree without blossoms.
Okay, so that one's kind of dramatic. Now, let's open up Cloud English here. That's my voice, and let's generate. Generating. Victor was very worried when he visited the vast valley on Wednesday. The wind was wild, and waves from the river violently washed against the walls of the weathered. Sounds pretty close to me, right? Warehouse. His velvet vest waved. But one thing I'm using it for these days is I'm working on a project where I need to create voices for audio zones, and I think it's pretty cool. But I use more dramatic voices, so there's some really interesting voices. This one is cool.
If one is lucky, a solitary fantasy can totally transform 1 million realities.
I like that voice a lot. This one is very cool.
I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Toughness is in the soul and spirit, not in muscles and an immature mind.
This one is very cool. Non-native English speaker, strong Japanese accent. This one's very cool.
A man sees in the world what he carries in his heart.
That was awesome. I'm going to actually create this one to see
Victor
how that
was
sounds.
very worried when he visited the vast valley on Wednesday. The wind was wild, and waves from the river violently washed against the walls of the weathered warehouse. His velvet vest waved in the breeze as he waited, wondering if the vehicle would arrive on time. Veronica, who worked with Victor, warned him that the village might have vanished because of the heavy rains. Nevertheless, he ventured onward with vigor, hoping to verify the village's condition and witness the wildlife wandering through the wet woods.
Whew. Intense. And then the last one that I'll show you is this one. Ingmar is so cool. Ingmar has this very interesting, whispery, creepy sound. Listen to Ingmar. Listen to Ingmar.
Victor was very worried when he visited the vast valley on Wednesday. The wind was wild, and waves from the river violently washed against the walls of the weathered warehouse. His velvet vest waved in the breeze as he waited, wondering if the vehicle would arrive on time. Veronica, who worked with Victor, warned him that the village might have vanished because of the heavy rains. Nevertheless, he ventured onward with vigor, hoping to verify the village's condition and witness the wildlife wandering through the wet woods.
Isn't that voice really cool? It's got this creepy, it's like a creepy Swedish man. A creepy Swedish man. Yeah, I like that one a lot. So I'm working on this project, totally unrelated, but natural reader is not that limited. Okay, I'll check it out. I'm going to give it a chance. So I'm working on this side project where I'm creating these treasure hunts that you complete, and you have to physically be in a place. You have to physically be there in order to get something, to get a clue, to get a piece of a story, right? So I'm using 11 Labs a lot for that. It's just a personal project I've been working on that's quite fun. Raza says, I've been using read aloud functionality of Edge. It is also very useful. The Edge browser, right? I don't use Edge. I'm on a Mac, so I tend to use either Chrome or Safari. Chrome or Safari tends to be my go-to. All right. Okay, what's next? Oh, right. We're going to do some phrasal verbs. All right, so let's hop into some phrasal verbs, shall we? Shall we? English phrasal verbs for storytelling. When you're telling a story, often you're going to need phrasal verbs. You're going to need to explain things with not just simple vocabulary, but idioms, right? Common expressions. One of the most interesting type of phrase or expression in English is a phrasal verb, which is a verb with usually a preposition, right? Or an adverb added to it. And it's important to learn them in context. So we're going to go through 8. We're going to learn them in context with examples, right? So let's go. And you can use these if you are telling a story. All right? So let's go through these. 8 phrasal verbs. 8 phrasal verbs. 8 phrasal verbs. Hello, can I go next? Hello. Oh, there we go. Start or set out. You may hear, instead of people saying we started, we began, we left, we went, they set out. Really, this is just to evoke a feeling of adventure. I almost said adventure. I did say adventure. Adventure. What's the difference between set out and leave or go? Really, none. But again, it's just that connotation. The connotation of here we go. We're leaving for a trip, right? Here we go on our trip. It's going to be a great adventure. Who knows what will happen, right? So you set out on a quest. You set out on an adventure. You set out on a journey, right? We set out at 6 a.m. and didn't get back until midnight. It was a long day. Again, just gives it that feeling, which is slightly different than saying we left at 6 a.m. Saying we left at 6 a.m. is the same thing, but it's kind of just stating the facts there, and it doesn't evoke as much as set out, right? We set out early in the morning to explore the city before the crowds arrived. I'll zoom in a little bit on that. They set out to find the missing documents that everyone had overlooked. They set out. Oh yeah, this reminds me of a second really way that it's used. It's the same thing, but instead of just saying to physically leave somewhere, to set out to find the missing documents could be to physically go to the archive or the library and look for the physical document. But it could also be the beginning of a long process of searching for something. That could be sitting on a computer just typing all day long, searching. So to set out in that way is kind of non-physical. It's not about actually going somewhere. It could be, but it could also not be. It's about beginning a big project, right? A thing you're trying to achieve. We set out to achieve superconductivity at room temperature, but we failed miserably. So we had to commit fraud and edit a video so that it looked like we did it, but we actually didn't. Well, our goal was that, so we set out to do that, right? That doesn't mean we succeeded. It means we wanted to do that. Piece together. To piece something together. Well, this is a perfect picture, although it's pretty crazy because I don't see any missing spaces to put those puzzle pieces. But to piece something together is a gradual thing. It happens over time. It's a process of figuring something out that you're engaged in. Often there's a mystery, unknown information or facts. Something is going on, and you've got to slowly over time gather information, gather clues, right? Put those clues together in an order until, the picture emerges just like a puzzle. Now, it doesn't have to be physical information. It could all happen in your head. I sat there for 3 hours thinking through maybe why you didn't tell anyone you were going to Alaska because you didn't answer my email and you wouldn't respond. I just sat down and I just slowly pieced it all together, and I think I understand now. Is it this? Yeah, that's it. You figured it out, right? So you figure something out over time by gathering information and clues. To understand or discover something gradually by putting various pieces of information together. After hearing everyone's vision of the events, we piece together what had actually happened at the party. By reviewing the emails, we pieced together the reasons behind the sudden resignation. Why did this person resign? Why? Well, we can't contact them. They're just gone. Well, let's look at the clues and see if we can piece it together. Okay? To pass off. To pass off. Off? So if you pass something off, you try to get other people to believe that one thing is something that it isn't, right? So somebody has a giant thing like this, looks like a diamond. They say, we have this diamond that could be worth millions. It could be the largest diamond in the world. You try to sell it to somebody who doesn't really know much about diamonds. It's not a diamond. It's just a crystal, but they're trying to pass it off as a real diamond so that they can make a lot of money. So you're trying to present something as one thing when in fact it isn't that thing. To present something or someone falsely. He tried to pass off the cheap knockoff diamond, right, as an original brand. But we could tell the difference. Often, if you go to Canal Street in New York City, you'll see this a long road, basically in Chinatown, where people are selling stuff that we would call knockoffs. It's a famous thing. Go to Canal Street, find knockoffs. You can find a knockoff Rolex. You can find knockoff Coach handbags, right? Obviously, everyone knows they're fake. So you could say they're trying to pass off these bags as real, but I'm not even sure if they are. If you ask them, is this real? I think they'll say, no, it's not. But it looks like it, right? You want to buy it? It's $10. So maybe they're not actually trying to pass it off as real. She passed off his mistake as just a misunderstanding, but no one was convinced. No one was convinced. To track down. Now, what's the difference between track down and piece together? So if you piece together something, you're sort of collecting clues like puzzle pieces and trying to figure out, okay, how do they fit, right? If you're tracking something down, you're on the hunt for something, specific information, looking for this or that. If I can track down the document that said that these two agreed, right, to have this person killed, if I can track that down, it exists. I believe it exists. I will have definitive proof that they're both guilty. So to track something down is to say, I think this thing is real, I think this thing exists, and I'm going to go to every effort to find it. It's about finding, it's about discovery, it's about intentionally looking for something. Again, it could be a physical thing. You could track down a gem that had been lost in the jungle of Indonesia, or you could track down a missing record that is in an archive on an internet database, right? Either way, it works for both, right? So to search for something after a lot of difficulty, after calling several stores, we finally tracked down the last copy of the book. The private investigator was hired to track down the missing heir to the estate. So the heir to the estate, maybe he's on a gap year or he's living with the Amish community in Pennsylvania. Oh, I don't know how he got there, but anyway, after a while they tracked him down and forced him to resume his imperial duties, basically. It's not the same thing as investigate, though, because investigate is a broader activity. To investigate something is a general process of trying to look deeper into something and figure something out, whereas track down is usually more focused, directed at something. We're looking for the heir. We're trying to find the gem. We need to find this document. We have to find this thing and this thing and this thing. So that's different, right? Investigate, broad. Track down, specific. Tracking things down would be part of an investigation, which is a larger sort of collection of activities. Okay, to take in. All right, now to take something in can be done in so many forms. You can try to learn things by taking stuff in. You can take stuff in as entertainment, right? What's the difference between take in and watch, or take in and listen, or take in and read? It's all of those. So it's kind of a useful phrasal verb that doesn't focus too much on the format, whether I'm listening to it, or watching it, or reading it, or feeling it with my fingers. It's less about that and more about the general feeling of getting it into my brain through my senses somehow, perhaps to learn, right, to get information. And I think a word that works here is absorb, right? Absorb. So, when you put a sponge down in water, you don't say, the sponge is reading the water or something. We don't talk about the senses of a sponge because the sponge doesn't have senses. It just goes and absorbs the water. Well, if we want to talk about ourselves in the same way, we can use take in, I think, right? And again, it could be for learning or for other things too. You could be at a concert and you could take it in. What does that mean? Well, that's kind of just, I'm not just listening to the music. I'm trying to appreciate the atmosphere and how cold my beer is. I'm taking in the experience, right? So you could also take in information. You could, if someone's talking to you very intensely, you're trying to take it in, right? You're trying to get all of the information that's relevant, maybe because it's an urgent situation and they're not going to repeat themselves, right? So it's very broad. You could take in a show, Broadway show. There's music, there's a story, right? You're experiencing it because you're physically there. At a museum, often we add all, just trying to take it all in. When I go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Manhattan, it's often overwhelming just to try to take it all in. I love the museum. It's fantastic. But it's a challenge to take it in because there's just so much stuff there, okay? It took me a while to take in all the details from the meeting. There was just so much to process. So there it's about, I got a lot of information. Now I need to kind of sit with it and consider it and think about it and figure out what's important. When we arrived at the summit, we stood there for a moment to take in the incredible view. So this person there is looking out over a beautiful valley of you, trying to take it in. All right, run off. To run off, in general, just means to run away. To run off with means that you have a thing with you when you run off. So he ran off. My dog ran off. My son ran off. I ran off. Means just to quickly leave. Now, sometimes that means to try to escape from something. So if your dog ran off, it could be that the dog just likes to run. But sometimes it's because something was chasing them. So run off can be about just quickly leaving, escaping, but it can be escaping away from something. It's pretty vague, right? I think it's probably more often used when there's something chasing, something pursuing, right? And run off usually has a perception or a sense of there's some guilt involved, right? For example, if let's say a young family, the husband ran off. Well, that implies that he's got a family and maybe young kids, and then he falls in love with somebody else that's not his wife, and he runs off with her, leaving his family, abandoning his family. So usually there's a kind of negative connotation, as though something is being taken or stolen, or, you're not supposed to do that. Not always. So you could just say, the dog ran off, and there's nothing negative about that. But often, okay. And then whatever you have with you, or whatever you're involved with, or whoever you're involved with, you use with as the connector. So he ran off with a younger woman. He ran off with, there was a singer. The husband ran off. That's who I was thinking of when Ariana Grande, or something like that. The dog in the picture ran off with the sandwich. Okay, there's some guilt there, and the sandwich is the thing that makes them guilty. They took the sandwich. We're having a picnic. You're not supposed to run off with the food. Dog, you're no treats for you for a week, basically. To steal something and escape with it is generally how that's going to be used, okay? Someone ran off with my wallet during the festival, and I didn't even notice until I got home. The dog grabbed the sandwich and ran off with it before anyone could stop him. So, that's fairly innocent, right? But that's how it's used. That's generally how it's used. Two more. Give away. Now, you can give away all your money if you want. You can give away toys that you're not using, that your kids have outgrown. You can give away your book collection before you leave to travel. That's one meaning. Another meaning of giveaway is to reveal information unintentionally. You weren't really supposed to. This is where people are often talking about a movie they saw, and they say, before they're telling their friend about the movie, this is a great movie, you gotta watch it, it's amazing. And then they say, well, what happens in the movie? Oh, yeah. All right, I'll tell you a little bit. So you say, there's a guy, and then there's a bomb, and then there's a turkey sandwich, right? And there's a bomb and the turkey sandwich. But, okay, I don't want to give away the ending, though. Or you're about to say the ending, and the friend says, don't give away the ending. There, we call that spoilers. If you're about to give away important information about the story, especially if it's a new movie or book, that's called a spoiler, and it's usually a bad thing. You're supposed to say spoiler alert before you give away that information. And if you're talking about an old movie or a book, then generally it's okay. So you're giving away the story, meaning you're saying something you shouldn't say. You're revealing information you shouldn't reveal. It's not supposed to be there. By doing it, you're kind of ruining something. Don't give away the ending. You're watching a movie with this person, and you're saying, oh, what happens next is crazy. You can't wait. Watch out for the turkey sandwich. Stop. Don't give away the ending. I want to enjoy the movie. This happens sometimes. To reveal something unintentionally. Her facial expression gave away her surprise, even though she tried to act calm. That's another thing. To give away your surprise is sort of to betray yourself. Right? You're a poker player. You're sitting at the table. You get a straight flush, and you go, right? Well, you could be bluffing, I suppose, but if that's actually because you got a straight flush and you make that face, you are giving away your excitement with your face. Your face is giving that away. All the other players will likely fold, and you're going to not get as much money as you would have gotten if you hadn't allowed your face to give away your cards, basically, right? To give it away means to reveal something that shouldn't be revealed. And in poker, you're not supposed to reveal stuff like that. He almost gave away the secret when he accidentally mentioned the surprise party. This is another thing. A surprise birthday party is planned. Everyone's hiding inside. And, you're supposed to be the one who walks them in the door. And 5 minutes before you get home, you say, I hope, the cat doesn't get too close to Cheryl because I know she's allergic. And the other person says, wait, Cheryl? Cheryl in our house? So you say something by accident. I remember a video. It's the same thing throughout, right? I remember a video of Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, accidentally giving something away, and you can see on his face that he regretted it as soon as he said it. Okay, one more. To look back on. To look back on something is a sense of reminiscing, reflecting. It's not just remembering. To look back on is a little bit deeper than simply remembering. If I say, for example, last week, let me use a few years ago. A few years ago, right, I went hiking in the Rockies. That's just a statement of fact about what happened. But if I look back on my trip to the Rockies, it's more than remembering it. It's reflecting on it in a deeper way, thinking about it further, appreciating it, reminiscing in my mind, replaying little videos in my head, right? So to look back on a period of time or an event, things that happened, it's always about looking into the past. Yeah, you're looking back. But I want to just make it clear that it's just a bit different from remember in connotation. Because remember could be a simple action of like pulling up the video from your memory, whereas to look back is often a slightly more involved thing that may include nostalgia, it may include talking about the memories or piecing them together, right? Or feeling a certain way about them. It's a less fixed sort of thing and more of a general, that thing I did, right? When you look back at your life, people often say, when you look back at your life, what were the really important things? My children, my Beatles collection of records, how much money I have, or things like that. Remembering or reflecting on something from the past. Example, as we looked back on our road trip, we realized how much fun we had despite the little mishaps. Yeah, that's another thing, is sometimes looking back, a thing seems different than it seemed at the time. This is a common usage of look back that I should have mentioned, that the example shows very well. In the moment, when that happened, you were on a dusty road, the dirt was flying everywhere, it was filling your lungs, you were trying to protect your laptop, and there were people everywhere with water guns. It was miserable. But when I look back at that, I don't feel like it's horrible and it's negative. I feel good about it. I realize, what an adventure. What a crazy time. I can't believe that happened. And I have a positive feeling about it. So often, looking back, we'll say things like, looking back, I actually don't regret quitting my job so that I could take care of my family. We had less money at the time, and that was stressful. But now, looking back, I don't regret that at all because I was able to spend more quality time with my children. Looking back, I have a different perspective than I had perhaps in the moment, where in the moment I just feel stressed out, right? Or that the dirt is everywhere or whatever, right? In the moment, it may be different. Looking back, you have you reflect, and it could change the way you perceive it. I often look back on my college years and wonder how many things would have turned out if I had chosen a different major. So when I look back at this, now I wonder, there you might have some regret. If I had done this, maybe this would have happened, right? So some regrets, perhaps. Okay, so I hope these are clear. Obviously, the best way to learn them is to use them. So practice examples of each. I recommend popping those examples into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever you use, right? Try to get some feedback, make sure you're using them correctly, and ask if the connotation is correct. If it's a natural connotation, right? That matters. If you're using it in a way that's technically correct but awkward, then it's still not really correct, right? So check that. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Get a free course in the links in the description. All right. Juan says, there are tons of phrasal verbs. How can we learn them? Ugh. I agree. There are so many of them. And the challenging thing with the phrasal verbs is that they don't often mean one thing, like come across has 10 different meanings or whatever. They mean so many different things that it's very difficult to say, now I've learned it, because one second I think I've learned it, and then I learn there's a new meaning, and I don't know that one. And they're very context dependent. It's very tricky. I believe that the best thing is to treat phrasal verbs as this long-term project of discovery. Whenever you see one or hear one, try to document it, and it's very important to write down the context that you heard it or read it in. That's extremely important. If you have the context, then you can kind of get a feeling for how it's used naturally. Again, that's how native English speakers learn their language. That's how you learned your language. You didn't have to study a phrasal verb. It's just something that happens over time in context. I heard this 5 different times in these 5 different situations. I kind of naturally know how to use it. You have to try to simulate that feeling for yourself, and don't think that it's going to happen in a week, you know? Make it one of those long-term projects that you just work on persistently, and keep a little way to take notes on your phone or wherever, just to write down the phrasal verbs that you uncover, and use ChatGPT or tools like that to practice examples. Don't reveal the movie plot, Susanta. Yeah, exactly. That's a spoiler. Don't be a spoiler. Don't spoil the movie. Don't give it away. Don't give away the ending. To look back on my boss's behavior. Yeah, if he's no longer your boss, probably you could say that. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Friends, neighbors, citizens, thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you could be here. I hope you've learned some things today. If you have recommendations for future movies, movie clips you want to watch, let me know. Let me take a sip of water. If you have any feedback, any other feedback, also let me know. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Good luck. Make sure to check out the links in the description for a free course and 30% off the yearly membership. Free course, 30% off the yearly membership. Like button and subscribe. That is very, very much appreciated. It's a little thing you can do, which really, really helps out the show. Again, thank you so much, and I will see you next Friday. Bye-bye.